Hello and welcome to this webcast. I am Markus Mönnig. I'm the author of Mumbai, and I would like to present what Mumbai can do for you. Probably you're a DBA or you're in the Oracle consulting field doing performance analysis and such. So Mumbai might be of use to you. So what we see right here is the main interface of Mumbai, the main window. On the top left, we have the connection manager. We already have one connection set up. It's a connection to an Oracle 11.2 database using a TNS alias. These are available. So create another. Let's create another connection to an Oracle 9 database using the system user from within Mumbai. So we now have two connections set up, which we can select right here to be able to connect to. So let's start connecting. Okay, we are connected, as you see in the title line, connected to Oracle 11 or Oracle 112 it says, as user system, and 35 is the set of the session that Mumbai is currently using. We can check this. There's a session entry here which shows the session table, and right here in the first line we have the Mumbai exit session, and here's a SID 35. Okay, this fits. So what kind of functionality do we have here? Most of the functionality on the ad hoc page is pretty self-explaining. As you saw, we have the session table. We have processes, the process table, things like $SGA stat. I'm not going through all of them in this webcast. You can basically try it out. Whenever you want to know what's the query behind one of these views that you see here in this grid form, here on the top, we have this little icon here is an SQL console window, where you can issue your own SQL statements. And if we go back to, for example, here, the little icon next to that icon will open a console window with the SQL ID that was used in this view. So you can always, if what this view does for you is not exactly matching to your needs, you can always click this button, have a console window, and see what was the query that was used to create this view, and do your own changes to it and issue it again, and you get the same or a better output for your needs in that case. Let's close all these windows here. Okay. Yeah, as I said, a lot of views that are frequently used for basically DBAs or Oracle consultants doing performance analysis or performance troubleshooting. One note: whatever you issue from here, all the data will be fetched. So, for example, if you issue this one here, it will fetch the complete $SQL. And this might take a while, depending on your Oracle database that is running. That wasn't too much for me here. Only a few entries in this table, because this database is more or less idle. But you should be aware that if you do this in a productive database with a large shared pool, this might take some while, and you fetch a lot of data. But basically, this is a concept of Mumbai, because we want to be able to analyze the data on the client side inside Mumbai. So, for example, you could go here to the session table, and what can we do? Group by terminal, for example. It doesn't make sense in my case because there's only one connection from this terminal. I'm the only one, but of course you can group by other things. So you can actually, in all of the grids that you have under these functionalities on top, you can actually filter here each of the columns. for example, only show active. And you can group, for example, by process ID. You can then even have a group footer and, for example, do basic summation, find the min and max values, and so on. So this is a very powerful feature of this grid control that we have here. And this is why always all the data is fetched for these kinds of views. It's a little bit different in SQL console windows, but I'll show that later. So besides these views, for example, parameters, standard parameters, all parameters, or parameters that are that were changed, that are non-default. This is achieved by simply filtering is default, the column is default and true, on and off. You can very quickly see what's really relevant here. And yeah, a lot of other things that you can try for your own. Some of them might be useful for you, maybe some not. One feature that we have is that we can retrieve the alert log file from the database server. What is needed is a special schema. That's the Mumbai 42 schema. We need to create it up front. Because in the schema, the PL/SQL procedure lives that can actually fetch trace data and the alert log file. So when pressing this button here, create schema, it asks us for a password for the Mumbai 42 user. Let's just pick DBA, and then it asks for the sys password, because this is the user who creates the Mumbai 42 schema. Okay, all set up. And once we did this, there's now a schema. We are still connected as user system. Now we can, for example, retrieve the alert log file from the database server. And what we have here, again, it's the same kind of grid control. You have all you have the complete alert log file here. But what's the nice thing about it is we can now filter. For example, let's see only errors, references to trace files, and what else? DB system changes. So we now really filtered what might be interesting for us if we, for example, check did anything unusual happen in the database. Something else I can show. Let's get rid of this filter. For example, if you want to know if, say, the memory target changed, did somebody ever change it? When you start up the database, this gray section is going to the alert log file. So we can now simply select memory target, sort by line, and then all memory targets will be under one behind the other, and we can check if there was a change done during the lifetime of the database. So this is one thing. For example, if we have an error, we might also have a reference to another trace file, like here. This is actually where during setup of the database. These are kind of expected errors, but anyway, here's the reference to a trace file, and we can just simply right-click and say Open Reference File, and Mumbai will again fetch it from the database server for us, and we can look into it and see if we can troubleshoot anything here. Another nice functionality is that we can do the same with trace files with 10046 trace files, session trace files. So we start a trace file for our own session here. Then let's do a query. What do we do? Say logged objects. Okay, we go back, we stop the trace file, and now we fetch a trace file for the session from the database server. And here it is. Well, this is not yet nice, because it's not yet formatted, it's just a plain text file. But we can right-click and select Save and Open in Trace File View. So it will be saved to local disk, and then Mumbai can start its own trace file viewer for for these kinds of trace files, and it can additionally run Aura SRP on the trace file. So let's do that. Takes a few seconds. There we go. So, and this is the internal trace file viewer of Mumbai. You see all the select statements. This is basically what you have in the raw trace file that you can read in a text editor, but then it's really hard to read. The nice thing here is you can really filter a lot of things, and again do grouping operations, sum up these time values, for example. Or for example, let's filter a bit. We now show only the executes of these SQL statements. The color next to the SQL statements basically is just another color for a different SQL statement. So just by looking at the color, you'll get the idea which SQL statement the line refers to. So we have execute here. Or for example, we could go and filter for dep, which means we'll only see anything that was executed directly from the client, more or less. Or we could, what else can we do? Oh, we could group by SQL ID and then only show executes. Add a group footer. Put a simple count in it. So there were 15 executes for this SQL statement. And now, as soon as I find it, yeah, we can sort the grid for this count number. So right on top here, we will have the SQLs which were only one time executed. And if you scroll down, this is the SQL statement that was executed 15 times. So it's actually sorted by this grouping of SQL ID. So you can do a lot of powerful things with it. Basically, if you let's say you have a TK-prof output or SRP output, and you need to dig into the raw data, using this is much more comfortable than using a text editor and going through it. I hope you get the idea. We also have charts here. This is like chart elapsed time by SQL hash value. So on the x-axis, there's the SQL hash value, and the elapsed time for a statement in sum over the complete SQL trace file is shown. And over wall clock time, this is basically shows you the trace file started at this point here and ended at this point here, and the elapsed time, it shows you the elapsed time over the wall clock time, basically. So you see in which portion of your trace files are the most wait events. Very useful to basically, if you have a very large trace file and you want to only look at the sections where really the action was, you can look at this chart. Okay, so much for the trace file viewer. The other thing that was generated, the trace file was automatically sent to Aura SRP, and it created this output for us. And it's also shown inside Mumbai. For example, we have here the event name, and then you can see the hash values and so on. It's just a usual Aura SRP report for the trace file. Again, close all of this. Okay, what else can I show here?